Hello, BookTube. Well, after a slight pause, we're going to continue with our library tour. And for those of you who might be joining us late, we left off. We're still where we are. We're doing a library tour of Darkest Mordor. it's a wooden hutch here in the wall of the living room that has recessed shelves and lots of space. And naturally, if you're a book person, you know what happened next, right? It filled with books. And I'm just going through here because a lot of the time I don't even look in here anymore. And that's bad. That's very bad. This is not a palatial amount of space here at Hyde Cottage. I don't, and even if it were, I don't want a bookshelf that I don't look at. I want my bookshelves to be all of them working, lean, active. So going through this actually helps a lot, and some of you have said you found it interesting. So we'll start with this first one. It's by one of my favorite natural history writers, David Carroll. This is Swampwalker's journal, which is full of nature observations about very small patches of swampland and grassland, and it's full of his own illustrations, which are wonderful. You can make a career as that, even if he didn't do this. I cannot recommend him highly enough. If you like nature writing, go and find David Carroll in your library. He's written a handful of books, and they're all gems. They're all gems. And the next one is 84 Charing Cross Road. Wonderful, wonderful book. A favorite of a lot of you. I got this because it was a penguin, and it was one of those very dignified little penguins. I already have a couple of editions, but I love it. I love it so. What do we got here next? Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. This is the Anne Pippin Burnett translation of the Odes of Pindar. His victory odes to victorious athletes at various major athletic competitions, with a really good translation and really good notes. I'm glad it's here, although it should be with classics, right? It shouldn't be buried in the darkest shadows of Mordor. Then it looks like we have a batch next of Norton Critical editions, which I've mentioned on this channel before. They're really good. They're you get the paperbacks, you get the text, and then you get, in the back half of the book, you get selected critical essays, histories, original reactions by critics, later literary analysis. Just wonderful stuff. An education in every volume. And what have we got the first one here? Oh, the first one is On Liberty by John Stuart Mill. A very rare work of philosophy in my collection. You won't find them, many of them. I think once you get used to it, his prose style is just wonderful. And what's next here? The Praise of Folly by Erasmus, and other writings, plus lots of good essays. Can't go wrong there. And then and the Norton Critical poetry of John Donne with a cover that I fixed. As good as John Donne is, John Donne plus plesiosaurs is even better. And then, very good. This is the Norton Critical, one of the more recent Norton Critical editions of Hamlet by Shakespeare, with Jude Law on the cover in his much lauded London performance. This is fairly recent. Great though, fantastic. I'll have to look over. Maybe I'll use that as the text that I read from on ShakeTube 2017 when we get to Hamlet. I can't wait to see what you all make of Hamlet. I want everyone to join ShakeTube for that week and read Hamlet. Even if you don't read any of the others, you have to read Hamlet. And what better way to read it than in a crowd of other people engaging with it attentively? But I'll nag later on the subject. So that's it for the Norton Critical editions. Then we have a Penguin. Oh, great. Okay, yes, this is by Joel Dicker. This is The Truth About the Harry Kubert Affair, about a stalled writer. A big novel about a stalled writer that I actually ended up really liking. I think that's why I kept it. That plus this Penguin edition is just lovely. It's got raised lettering on the cover, and it's got the French flaps for. If all books came originally in formats like this, nice rubbery binding, nice raised letters, nice cover design, and also the flaps. I would never do hardcover. It's such a lovely thing. That must be why I kept it. Oh God. Okay, here's an example of a book that migrated from from an earlier bookshelf tour. This is a novel by M.J. Pearson called Helpless, with a rather intriguing cover. that does not take place in the novel. No scene like that takes place in the novel. What have we got here? Oh, great! This is Wolf in White Van by John Darnielle, he's a rock and/or roller that some of you may know. He's a singer for the Mountain Goats. But the book is tremendous. The book is really, really good. I saw it. I got it as a novel. I didn't know anything about him, of course. I knew nothing about his music. And the minute I learned that he had an active career as a professional musician, I thought, oh God, this thing is going to be the very worst vanity project. I've seen them in the past. This is actually bitingly intelligent. I'm sure that plenty of you have read it. It came as a complete surprise to me. Maybe those of you who know his music and revere him as an artist, maybe it didn't surprise you, but I didn't know anything about him, so it surprised me. Okay. We have, this is a book I have praised before. This is Emily Neville's YA book, It's Like This, Cat. And we have a trade paperback and the original hardcover. Go figure. I like it. I don't like it that much. I only need one copy. Oh, and then The Once and Future King. This is a big pretty trade paperback that Ace Fantasy did years ago that I must have liked, and I got it and reinforced it. So I have it here. It's not across the room with fantasy and science fiction. Don't really understand that, but at least it's somewhere. And what's next here? Okay, sorry. This is a trade paperback of Indignation by Philip Roth. With a really nice cover, but still, the author, I'm not a big fan. What I'm doing with a novel of his, I have no idea. Looks like there are a lot of novels on this shelf. Maybe they were relegated here to the shadows. The next one is a gigantic novel. It's The Dying Grass by William Vollmann. Look at the size of that thing. It's 1,200 pages long, something like, no, 1,300 pages long, about a minor side theater of the American Indian Wars. And not only that, but mainly about two main characters in that minor theater in the American Indian Wars. And yet it's this big. I reviewed it, I think for the Washington Post. Yes, a novel of incredible insignificance and power, written a masterpiece that delivers us to the far shore of our past, a past that is still at war with the ghost of its decisions. Okay. Oh, no, okay, that explains why I kept it, why I kept the trade paperback. Because I'm blurbed on the back, but I'm also blurbed on the front. Which is the front has just the reading experience of a lifetime. All these things book reviewers say. That might be why I kept it. Although maybe I'll reread it. I loved it, so maybe I will. And what's this next one? Oh, okay. This is actually from this summer. This is a YA novel by Michael Spradlin called Prisoners of War. A YA novel about that boy who's a prisoner of the Japanese during World War II. That very annoyingly, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's very annoying. The cover has just the right kind of thing to me. He doesn't look like a 1940s boy. Is what I'm saying. Is the larger point of what I'm saying. But it doesn't matter. Then what have we got here? Oh, this is a novel I've recommended many times. This is Louis Boyard. This is Fool's Errand. A gay novel by an author who then abandoned the subgenre. He mainly wrote historical fiction after this. This, I think, was his debut novel, and yes, it is. This is his first novel, and it's delightful, absolutely delightful. A gay man goes to the house party of a couple of, air-kissing friends of his, and it exhausts him. Just the whole ordeal of being single and being fake exhausts him, and he goes into a little study, somewhere in the house. And there's a little couch there, and he says, "I'm just going to lay down for a second." And he takes a nap, and he dreams, and he half wakes up to someone stumbling into the room, stumbling upon him, and apologizing for waking him up. And it's a man in a red sweater, and he becomes convinced. The narrator becomes convinced that man is the man of his dreams, the one gay man who will not let him down, and spends the rest of the novel trying to find him. With hilarious results, and also very touching. The ending came out of nowhere for me. I didn't see it coming, and I loved it. It was perfect. And then we've got another thing we've seen on this channel many times before. This is An Arrow's Flight by Mark Merlis, another gay novel. This time reimagining the Trojan War with the son of slain Achilles as a go-go boy, a gay go-go boy. It's I thought that when I originally read the description of that, I thought, well, okay, whimsy. I'm not a big fan of whimsy, but I'll read it anyway because I am a big fan of Homer and have written Homeric pastiche fiction myself. But I was amazed at how powerful it was, especially on the theme of fathers and sons. I don't often see that done well. In fact, you know, oddly enough, now that I think about it, I mostly see the theme of father and son drama done well in gay fiction. I wonder if that's because so many young gay men are either cast out by their fathers or desperately want their father's approval. Oh, why that is. There's a term paper in there somewhere. What do we got next? Oh, great, Lowboy by John Ray. Fantastic book about a teenager who's got severe mental problems, and they're done really well. They're portrayed in fiction really, really well. Movingly, so that you're on the edge of your seat wondering about this kid. You feel like you want to protect him. Same thing as his mother, same thing as the police detective that she eventually enlists to help her find him. The whole book very effectively makes you want to protect this kid, even though he's not always very likable. And what's next here? Okay, this is an old 1980s reprint, a Hardy Boys novel. I don't know, something about the cover. Let's just move on, shall we? Let's see here. Oh, okay, this is another novel. This is a literary novel, very good, slim literary novel. Wish that I could get a lot of literary people especially who love the book world, to read this, but of course it's out of print and will never come back into print. This is the Belles-Lettres Papers by Charles Simmons, about a young man who takes a job at a literary magazine and learns its secrets inside out. And half the fun, I admit, is the insider baseball, because everybody in it, every person in it, every situation in it is a one-to-one mapping of something that was real in the 1980s in the New York literary world. So I guess it's a rarefied thing, but I loved it. Then we've got another novel. This is a classic. Cannot recommend it highly enough. This is The Friends of Eddie Coyle by George Higgins. Those of you, especially those of you who are lost in the weeds of dude bro lit, this is the guy that a lot of your authors are ripping off. And they're not telling you it. They're lying about it. In interviews, they'll say that they don't know what you're talking about, that they're really studying Proust. And then their friends from high school and college will come forward and say, well, they never stop talking about this book. And you wouldn't need those friends to come forward, because you can see the ripoff in their own crappy prose. This is the real deal, though. Ross MacDonald, Dashiell Hammett, George Higgins, this is the real deal. Fantastic book, and fantastically written. Just a treat. I highly recommend it. And it, I think, will stay in print. I think most of his stuff is probably going to go out of print and stay that way, and that's a terrible shame. He was a really, really nice guy, and worked hard on most of his books. But if one of them sticks around, if one of them is immortal, that's more than most writers get. So I'm happy with that. And then more doubles. This is a historical novel. I think I've mentioned it on this channel before. This is The Sheriff of Nottingham by Richard Kluger. His novel about the guy who is the one-dimensional villain in the Robin Hood stories. But in this, we go back to the reign of King John and what an actual sheriff was, what an actual sheriff's job was. We learn the Sheriff of Nottingham's name. We see his family. We get a Robin Hood who's not exactly cool. He's actually a cowardly, wretched thief. And we get a portrait of King John. Oh my God, like nothing. King John is largely unsalvageable as a British monarch, but even if he weren't, this would put all the rest of the nails in the coffin. It is as great a character as the sheriff himself is, and he's a truly solid, great guy. You'll be glad to make his literary acquaintance. The runaway creation in this book is the evil of King John, the towering evil of this King John. And that's it. We're going to stop there for now, and I'll just come back. There's plenty more books in this hutch, so this could go on for a while. But I'll wrap this up here, and I'll see you later. Thank you, BookTube.